Can you share strategies, let's say, about helping children to grow during this time, especially when, children are working on different things. They're all working on different areas. Any specific strategies?
So I think the important thing to remember here to answer that question is we're not looking to impose a behavior. We're not looking for a quick fix. We have to take the long-term approach of developing character traits. That's what we're trying to do. So say sorry, what did that do, right? That didn't really accomplish anything. Say thank you. So if I'm thinking about, developing the trait, it might be that, let's see, the grandparents, are coming over to visit or coming for Yom Tov, and to say, grandma mentioned that she's preparing her stuffed cabbage for Yom Tov. That takes her a long time, and we all enjoy it so much. I am so grateful that she's going to be bringing it over. When she comes over, I'm going to make sure to thank her for it because I really want her to know how much I appreciate it. And talking in that way about showing gratefulness, or if the child says, oh, wow, I so appreciate what my grandmother did for me or what my teacher did for me, say, what might be a way that we could actually let them know that we appreciate that? And then the child might say, maybe I could draw a picture, maybe I could write a note, because this is an ongoing journey of developing the midah in our children of appreciation, of expressing gratitude. So again, regardless of which area it is, whether it's about developing, flexibility, developing a child who we want to help step up and take more responsibility. It's not just about that one time. That's not what it's about. We have to be thinking long-term of developing the trait.
Welcome back to the Jews Next Door podcast, where we explore a different topic of our parenting hierarchy each month with the goal of raising the next generation of passionate and committed Jews. I'm your host, Rabbi Yair Manshel, and in this mini episode, we continue to help parents prepare for the Yamim Noraim with Mrs. Sharon Richter, or Morah Sarah as she is known, at SAR, where she is the lower school associate principal of Judaic Studies. And without further ado, enjoy this episode.
My pleasure.
So what would you say are some of the ways that we can set the tone as parents for the Yom Noraim in our homes?
I want the tone in my home to be one of yes, Rosh Hashanah is coming, Yom Kippur is coming. These are special days. These are days of awe. These are days of opportunity. These are days of preparing ourselves, finding our best selves, and developing our best selves. So in terms of just setting a general tone in the home, think about music, create a playlist. Playing the songs goes a very long way. Having the kids hear songs from the tefillot when they're in the car, when you're preparing dinner, just around the house. That's one way to set a tone. Something that I started doing years ago after brainstorming with a friend of mine, Michelle, how to make these days extra special for our families was the following. We sat down and each came up with some values that are really important to us in our home. And we thought about where our kids were each at that given moment. And we said, okay, let's build this up. So we each took 4 poster boards and we wrote a value or something that we were working towards on each poster. So stepping up and taking responsibility was one. Gratefulness was another one. Everybody can, pick which one works best for their family. We hung up 4 in our kitchen and bought lots of different color sticky notes. And I wrote the title on the middle, on the middle of each poster. And as people wanted to recognize and identify and talk about examples that they were seeing or they were experiencing, they added different sticky notes to these posters. Now, if these posters were up in my kitchen all year round, they would probably turn into wallpaper and people would stop noticing them. But they just go up for a few days a year. So they either go up 2 days before Rosh Hashanah or right after Rosh Hashanah during Aseret Yemei Tshuva, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And it really sends a message to the family that we're raising our level of consciousness around the kinds of people that we want to be and about the values that we want to, imbued in our home. And it's fun and it's playful. And you walk into the kitchen and that's something that you just see there on the wall. And that's really been a lot of fun. I think about the third poster that I did was practicing self-control, right? So we had gratefulness, we had stepping up, taking responsibility, self-control, and sharing. That was the fourth one. And different families obviously should do what works for them and based on what ages their kids are at. And kids could add cute hashtags and it can be, really effective and playful.
And every time a parent recognizes something that the child does, or the children themselves are putting things?
Everybody in the family is involved in writing them.
Wow, it's beautiful. Love it. Wow. It's very, very nice and practical. Really, it's great.
And the kids could also be the ones to help decorate them. And you could even have a family meeting and say, here are some ideas. What are some things that we want to focus on and work on as a family right now during these days as we're working on being our best selves during this time? And then, depending on the ages of your children, let them be the ones to actually write the poster. And then you leave the rest of it blank around for all the sticky notes to fill them up.
Amazing. What about, in terms of maximizing? How can we use this time, the Yamim Noraim time, this time of the year, to maximize both the best in ourselves and our children? You were talking a little bit about that in the beginning, but what else, are there other things, I guess, that we could do?
So I suggest that we all get ourselves in the headset of appreciating where we are and where our kids are and accepting who and where we are right now and where each of our children are right now. And that includes our imperfections because that's what makes us human, right? I think we all try to hydrate a lot, especially before Yom Kippur. But we're just coming off the summer and we're all conscious of drinking. And the bracha achrona that we say after drinking is Boreina Fashot Rabot. And curiously, we add the word v'chesronan, our shortcomings, and acknowledging and thanking Hashem for our shortcomings stresses the fact that, that's part of what makes us real and part of what makes us human. And the more accepting and in touch we are with our areas of strength and with the areas that we're working on, being mindful of that around this time of year helps us be real about the growth that we want to do for ourselves and that we want to help our children with. And this is not a process that we can rush, but it's a process that can help us help our children along, in their journeys.
Totally. One of the main, aspects of the Yom Noraim is the Yom Tov davening, which davening tefillah in general is something that's very hard for children and for adults, for everyone. But what are some ways that we can make the Yom Noraim, the Yom Tov davening more in reach for our children?
So one thing that we've done over the years is prepared index cards. When the kids were little, I wrote them on top and some of the kids drew. And as the kids got older, they were able to write their answers. And then my kids reached an age where they actually just created these index cards by themselves. I like to hand the kids an envelope, and inside that envelope is the year that it is. And the index cards, one says things I'm grateful for, something I'm really proud of that I worked on and grew with this year, something that I'm still working on and that I'd like to get better at this year, people that I'm davening for this year. So immediately when a kid comes into shul, it's a very personal connection. And if their mind wanders a little bit while they're davening, they could always pull out their cards and look. And if it's a very young child, they can draw a picture and they could connect in that way, even if it's a child that's not old enough to go to shul.
What age would you say you could do that with?
I think you could start doing this with 3-year-olds. What's something you want to thank Hashem for? What's something you're working on? It's like for one child, it might be working on being more flexible. And another child, everybody, it's very different. I also think it's important as our kids get a little bit older, and even 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, to take a machzor and to look for what is repeated the most in it and literally cover other parts of the machzor with a sticky note so that if a 3rd grader is going to say, for every child, it's going to be different, obviously. But if you know your child and that they can manage, let's say for Yom Kippur, in the vidui, they can manage saying 10, then you block everything else off in the sitter with the sticky notes, and you go through a machzor with them. And you could also have music to help with that, obviously, before Yom Tov, so they're familiar with some of the tunes. And you say, this is what you need to say. This is a part of Shemona Esrei that will be accessible to you. And then let's say the Anu Amecha, etc. And you're working with your child when you are preparing this machzor with them. Do you think this is manageable? How is this for you? And then you show them at the beginning of the Shemona Esrei is the same. We're going to start with that. That part should be easy for you. And the very end of Shemona Esrei is the same. Let's look at the middle and, make this a davening that's manageable for you. And then by the time they're continuing through their machzor, it's becoming more and more familiar to the children because they're seeing the same sections again and again. And then as they get older, we can be slipping down these sticky notes that were covering the pages, and they can watch how they can now say more with greater ease. But I think it has to be in their reach. It has to be manageable and relatable.
Carla, that's beautiful. I love that. Any final message, as we help parents to get ready for the Yom Tov?
My message is for us as the adults. We're the adults. And it's our job to really work hard to find that spark in our kids, to let them feel our love, to acknowledge to them what we notice, what we love about them. I started a practice a few years ago of writing a letter to my children on Erev Rosh Hashanah, to write a letter during Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, to point out to them things that I notice about them, that I admire, and that I learn from. This time of year, we're coronating Hashem, and we can coronate Hashem best by also coronating our children, seeing the gifts that they have, looking for the strengths that we have. And yes, we all have weaknesses and we have to be aware of them. Letting our kids know how much we value, not in vacuous general terms, you're great, you're amazing, but specifically letting them know about gifts that they have and strengths that they have and particular actions that we've seen them take can go a long way to help them along in this journey in their Avodat Hashem during this special time.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. This is so practical, so relatable, and really just incredible. Thank you so much for your time.
Should be a good year for everybody. Shana Tova.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jews Next Door. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I'd love to hear your takeaways. Reach out to us. Reach out to me at yair@jenaleph.org, hi@jenaleph.org. You can check us out on the website. You could leave a question there. We'd love to be in touch. Please be in touch. Check us out on Instagram at Parenting the Jews Next Door. Hit me up on Twitter at Yair Menshel. And we're on TikTok now too. We have some great content, a lot of really great insights into parenting, tips, parenting pointers, reaction videos, and quotes. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of articles. You want to check it out. Check it out at jenaleph.org. You won't be sorry you did. And I look forward to hearing from you. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, make sure you subscribe and share it with your family and friends. Looking forward to another great episode next week.